New Year to everybody. This is our first lesson of the year and the last lesson in this series on the Satipatthana Sutta. The Satipatthana Sutta is a very wonderful text on meditation. You might say an overview of meditation. What do we do in meditation? What happens in meditation? How to do it effectively. In fact, today's topic, the fourth contemplation, the fourth anupassana, is about just that, how to recognize the positive aspects of meditation, or dhammas. Dhammas is translated as realities, or what I call phenomena, or simply mental states. Because the word dhamma has got such a the widest range of meanings. So once again, a quick summary. According to the Satipatthana practice, there are four aspects of meditation, four things to watch, for anupassana. In fact, you find in Buddhist meditation and teachings generally, there are lots of terms which are rooted in the word to see. So anupassana, the root word is to see. I think it is T-C-I-S, that is to see. Okay? So from this you also can get the word pasati or disati, right? To see. Here, anupassana. Okay? Pasana is a participle, seeing, okay? Seeing, and the action, ongoing action. And then the anu means again and again, do it constantly. So anupassana means keeping your mind watching this mental object. Okay? And we start with the body, kaya, the most obvious place to start. Because not only we have a body, but this body, as the five senses, distract us. Distract us meaning demands our attention. When we see something, it demands our attention. When we hear something, it demands our attention. Smell, taste, touch. The problem is these five senses, they function all the time. All at the same time. And then you have the mind, which is like a sensor, which to move around, see which one to pay attention to. And very often we try to pay attention to more than one of these monitors, if you like, or these sensors. And that's called distraction. Distraction means we're trying to pay attention to more than one object at a time, more than one sense at a time, which is impossible. Because the very nature of attention is one thing at a time. Alright? So you focus on one, the most important object. So we watch in the body meditation or body-based meditation, for example, we can focus on the breath. The breath is the best focus because the breath is irregular, the breath becomes more calm when you watch it. And then slowly we let go of the other distractions arising from the other senses. Then as the body becomes more peaceful, meaning we don't have to bother about it anymore, we are able to let go of the body, so to speak. This is the first renunciation, if you like, renunciation of the body. Then we go on to watch feelings, right? Vedana-anupassana. We notice, oh, this is very nice, or maybe we notice pain, or maybe the absence of both. So we watch them as they are. Of course, if you want to go deeper, then you watch the impermanence of all these feelings. And then when the feelings settle, you feel more peaceful, or maybe just before that, you begin to notice thoughts, your thoughts. In other words, the mind creates its own ideas and concepts. And then you notice the nature of the mind. Maybe it is distracted, maybe it is focused. Simply watch the mind as it is. So in this third, what you call anupassana, you watch the nature of the mind. Again, here you see the mind rising, falling, and so on. So those are the three anupassana. So once the mind also becomes peaceful, in other words, the instrument of wisdom becomes more clear. It's like a lens. The lens is polished, so you can look through it, and it becomes more clear. What do you see? Okay, this is where we come to the fourth anupassana, Dhammanupassana, observing the dharmas or phenomena. So this is on page 135. And here, for your summary, you can see on the whiteboard at the back, there are 5 teachings. You have the 5 mental hindrances, then the 5 aggregates, the 6 sense bases, the 7 awakening factors, and then the 4 noble truths. So it's a kind of a nice set of teachings, if you like. And these teachings, of course, connected with the nature of meditation. There are many other teachings, but these are some of the key ones which we need to know so that we have the vocabulary for talking about meditation. Now, notice the sequence. The sequence also is quite interesting and helpful to us. When we meditate, the first things we have to deal with are the 5 mental hindrances. Remember earlier on I said that when we meditate, we begin by watching the body. But when you watch the body, we're also watching certain hindrances. Look at what are the hindrances? Just look at the keywords. You look at brackets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you see the underlying words. Number 1 is sensual desire. And then number 2 is ill will. This is on page 135. And then brackets 3, sloth and torpor. Next page, hindrance number 4 is restlessness and remorse. And then 5 is doubt. 5 things that prevent us from being fully focused on meditation. In fact, you might say the main one we have to get rid of is the first one. If you do this well, then the rest somehow will become easier to let go of. Sensual desire. That means a kind of a pulling effect. We see something nice, we are drawn to it. Where do these nice things arise? They arise in our senses. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. Okay? For example, we are used to sitting very comfortably. Sitting cross-legged on the floor is very uncomfortable. So we desire comfort. And that thought distracts us. So this is an example of how sensual desire distracts us. It is the thought of this something that is something I want. So actually it's nothing to do with things. It's the way we think. Right? And then when you cannot get it, you get upset. That's the opposite. Number 2, ill will. So ill will is the pushing. You do not want those things that prevent you from getting the pleasure and comforts you are hoping to have. So you have this push and pull reaction. And as a result of this, you become sleepy, tired. So number 3, sloth and torpor. Right? Mental tiredness, bodily tiredness. And so you become sleepy, right? Or tired, or even bored, if you like. So after a while, you begin to feel restless and remorse. Now they come in a pair, restlessness and remorse. Now this pair of hindrances are very interesting. This is when we begin to think, right? Instead of meditating, thinking takes over. We start thinking, for example, when will this meditation end? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So you think of the future. When you think of the future, it's like you want to jump into action, so you become restless. Right? Or sometimes in our meditation, we think of the past. So the past come back to us and we feel remorseful. Things done, things not done. See, because when we are busy, we don't have the time to think. But in meditation, you have a lot of time, so to speak. You begin to be more focused, more mindful. What is your mind full of? The mind will be full of things that will be filled before you came for the meditation. So you begin to see your own mind's content. You begin to notice, oh dear, this is what I did, this is what I didn't do, full of regrets, things like that, right? So that is why this hindrance is there. This line is there telling us it is natural these things will arise. And it is also natural for us, it's good for us to let go of them. Because they're just not helpful anyway. So let go of the past, let go of the future, just watch the present. Sometimes there is a teaching in the Dhammapada, for example, which tells us to let go even of the present moment. Because if you don't let go of the present moment, then you will not progress. Letting go of the present moment in this case means not to be attached with something that is really nice, really peaceful, really wonderful. Of course, we don't make an immediate effort here to say, oh, whatever comes, we must let go. However, what we do is we say this is impermanent, especially something very peaceful, something very joyful. We say this experience is peaceful, yes, but it is impermanent. That's the meaning of letting go of the present. Seeing it as it is. You definitely do not say, I want this, right? Because one of the difficulties in meditation is sometimes we try too hard. So if you try too hard, that means you are putting thoughts into it. The idea is to go naturally with the flow, so to speak. Yeah? So watching the present, if it is distraction, you note it as it is, let it go. If it is peaceful, note it as it is, smile at it if you like, then let it go. Right? So you go on doing this until in time, whatever arises in your mind, they're all natural to you. Even in face of what appears as distraction before. Because you begin to understand these are all mental states. They come, they go. And then the fifth distraction, the fifth mental hindrance is called doubt. This is something that keeps us going in a circle and going nowhere. Sometimes we hear a lot of so-called advice on meditation. This meditation is good, that meditation is good, or this meditation is bad, that one is bad. So you get confused. Meditation is something you do. Don't bother what people tell you. You practice, you see it is peaceful for you, you feel you can connect with it, well, that's fine, continue with it. If you find this meditation is not helpful, you're not happy with it, switch to something else. Shorten the stage. Right? So that's what we do in meditation. The rule of thumb in meditation, in other words, how do I know I'm progressing in meditation, is you feel happy as a result of this meditation. If you don't feel happy, that means that there's something there, you've got to find out what is it that's causing you not to be happy. Sometimes you do a proper meditation also, you might not be happy. For example, if you do one of those body parts meditation, for example, and you begin to feel sad, you begin to feel shocked, you feel disgusted. You have taken some nasty medicine. Now what do we do when we were kids and our parents give us nasty medicine? After that they give us a sweet, right? So you got to do a sweet meditation, loving kindness. So whenever you do a difficult meditation, in fact as a rule, never neglect loving kindness. Loving kindness will set things right again. Bring you to a positive state again, in other words. Right? So never neglect meditation, of this cultivation of loving kindness. One more advice from decades of meeting meditators and doing meditation is avoid meditators and teachers who can't smile, especially when they teach you meditation and they look very serious and, or worse, they glare at you. Obviously, you're not happy. Because in meditation, you must be happy, right? There is something we might call a smiling meditation, if you like. Some of you who have done regular meditation, occasionally, you might just smile at the distraction. If you say, may I be well and happy, of course, actually you want to smile, right? So that smiling is a very big event in your meditation. You feel good, you feel happy, and it gives you the energy. Happiness, joy gives you the energy to continue. So this is a very simple trick, if you like, to improve your meditation. And then as a result of your meditation, you also feel naturally happy. Right? So in the face of anything, you have the energy to keep going. And then you have the wisdom also to set things right. Otherwise, you have doubt. So doubt is a hindrance. It prevents you from going on. You ask yourself, what do I do now? And you are stuck in this same spot. So how do we overcome doubt? We study suttas. We ask questions. We learn through trial and error. That is why at the end of every meditation, you have a short period or long period, depends, where you review your practice. Right? How did I sit just now? Okay, this was good. Something happened here and then I got distracted. This is what I should do or should not do. Right? So you review. And then you remember the peace and so on. So the review period helps you to know yourself better also and to put some strategy into your meditation. So this is an overview of the mental hindrances. Now let's look at the wordings here by way of summary. Page 135, section 36. And how bhikshus does a man dwell observing dharmas in the dharmas, or phenomena in phenomena? Here, bhikshus, a man dwells observing dharmas in the dharmas in respect of, or in respect to the 5 hindrances, or 5 mental hindrances. And how do you do this? Number 1, when there is sensual desire in us, we understand. Changing to first person. We understand there is sensual desire in me. Okay, this is meditation language. If you have sensual desire during meditation or any time, you just say, acknowledge it, accept it for what it is. This is desire. Right? This is the beginning of wisdom and ending of suffering. Acknowledge it for what it is. It's something like, name the devil and shake him. It's a very Buddhistic saying. And that's how we do with Mara. Very often, especially when the nuns are meditating, Mara appears to distract them. And then they will say, Mara, I know it's you. You are just trying to distract. And Mara says, oh, this person knows me. Mara disappears. So Mara is overcome by knowledge. Or when there is no such a desire in him, he understands there is no such a desire in me. In other words, this desire is gone. For example, you smile at it and you find it's gone. And he understands the arising of, and just you can make a note there. Don't have a pen here, just make a note there. The rising of unarisen, such a desire. Can you see the line? And he understands the arising, and then add off, unarisen, sensual desire. Off is missing. Off, yeah. But the rest of the lines there, off. And he understands letting go of unarisen sensual desire. And he understands the non-arising further of sensual desire that he has given up. So here, you begin to, there are 2 things you can do. One is you notice desire arising, peaking, passing away. So that means you watch it, but you're not troubled by it. This is one way, watching arising and falling of mental states. you smile and there's such a desire, or you label it as it is, you're letting it go. You know what's going on. When you know what's going on, then you're able to apply the technique. You understand the non-arising further. After that, you notice, okay, this problem doesn't trouble me anymore. There's no such problem anymore. So this is one way of looking at it. And you apply the same sequence to the other mental weaknesses, to ill will, anger, for example. Same thing. Because sometimes when you meditate, anger arises. The irony is, when you do loving kindness, sometimes anger will arise. Because when you think of certain people, people don't upset us. It's memories of people who upset us. You recall certain events, and then you get upset. So you know it as it is. This is anger, or this is ill will. Very often, once you acknowledge it, half the energy is gone. And then you smile at it, it's totally gone. Like that. So this is how you deal with the hindrances. Okay? And then notice after that comes the Satipatthana refrain again. So it dwells observing dharmas in the dharmas internally, in yourself. Or observing dharmas in the dharmas externally. In other words, when you notice this in other people, you also reflect in the same way. So you try not to get affected by the mental states of others. Or observing dharmas in the dharmas both internally and externally. In other words, alternately. Or he dwells observing states that arise in the dharmas. Or he dwells observing states that pass away in the dharmas. Right? So you can notice when it is arising, you say, oh, okay, I notice this negative mental state arising. Or you know it's going to pass away, you note it so. But more often you might see rising and falling. Observe them. Or else he maintains the dharmas that there are dharmas merely for knowing and awareness. So this is where you just say, okay, these are just mental states. Or very often your teacher may tell you, just use the word mind-made. Manomaya, mind-made. These are all mind-made. Very often in our meditation, especially in the final moments, sometimes you experience really beautiful things. So you see lights. We are reminded to simply reflect on all these things as they're mind-made. So don't be too excited about them. You feel joyful, yes, they're all mind-made. And sometimes we see fearful things from the past come back to us, maybe in our childhood. They're also mind-made, they're not real. So you just observe them, let them go. Okay, so those are the 5 mental hindrances. Any questions on the hindrances? Okay, the next set, number 2, are the 5 aggregates. Again, bhikshus, among dwells observing dharmas in the dharmas in respect to the 5 aggregates of clinging. How does a monk dwell observing dharmas and the dharmas in respect to the 5 aggregates of clinging? So here you have the same statement and then the questions again. Here bhikshus, a monk considers thus, such is form. This is form, for example, the body, form. Such is the arising of form, such is the passing away of form. Arising of form. When we take food, for example, right, the food gets absorbed in our belly and then form arises. And then form passes away, right? For example, when we are sick, we lose weight, or we trim our fingernails, and so on, right? As we grow old, our hair fall away. So the form also passes away. Rises, passes away. It's his form. You want to go deeper? Also can. Form. Form is made up of 4 elements: earth, water, fire, wind, and so on. Form is made up of the five indriyas, the five faculties, eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body. So these are, depending on your understanding of the Dhamma, you can reflect in this way. Now when there is form, there is feeling, right? Such is feeling. Such is the arising of feeling. Such is the passing away of feeling. So these are all shorthands, Shorthand attracting your understanding of the Dharma. This is where all those things you have learned about the aggregates, for example, come naturally flowing in. You don't think about it. They naturally flow in your mind. Feeling, for example. Arising of feeling, right? So you say, well, when there is contact, feeling arises. So you're also reflecting on conditionality. You don't have the idea of feeling is like a thing, something permanent. So feeling is conditioned by contact. And then when there is no contact, you close your eyes, feeling goes away. So you reflect on the conditionality of feeling, for example. Such is feeling. Or maybe you reflect on feeling, say, well, there are three kinds of feeling. There's this pleasant feeling, and pleasant feeling is such that it is impermanent. And when it goes away, there is painful feeling. So in painful feeling also is impermanent. When it goes away, it is pleasant. So they kind of go back and forth. Such is feeling. And then when there is the absence of pleasant feeling, painful feeling, we don't feel anything. And sometimes we feel bored because of this. Now we understand this, we say it's all impermanent. Feeling change. And so all these thoughts, all these ideas of Dhamma just pass quickly. But these are not exactly ideas, and yet you know them. Okay? So in other words, they move to your mind in a very smooth way without troubling you. In fact, it kind of liberates us when we understand this kind of teaching. And then, such is perception. Such is the arising of perception. Such is the passing away of perception. Perception, here we recall something and then we recognize it. We identify it. We relate it to something in the past. Right? So, that's perception. Perception, recognizing something, looking at something and identifying it in some way, connecting with it. So it arises and then it passes away. And then there are mental formations or volitions, karmic actions. Such is the arising of mental formations, such is the passing of mental formations. In other words, when we notice certain things, we perceive certain things, we have certain feelings, then we act on it. We say, wow, I like this, I want more of this. Then this karma arises. Positive karma, negative karma. We mentally act on it, or we speak about it, or we think about it. Right? These are mental formations. Or these are what they call simply sankharas, formations. Then, number 5, consciousness. Such is consciousness. Such is the arising of consciousness, such is the passing away of consciousness. So consciousness is present in all our 6 senses. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind. It is the activity of our senses. The eye is conscious, sees things. So that's consciousness. It is aware of light, forms. That is consciousness. Then the ear is sensitive to sounds, vibrations. That is ear consciousness. The nose consciousness is sensitive to smells. That is nose consciousness. Body consciousness to vibrations, to touch. So you reflect these are the various kinds of consciousnesses. So here you're reflecting on different realities, what we really are. You don't have to do all this in a detailed sequence like this. Whatever arises, whatever interests you at that time, just reflect on it. These are the 5 aggregates. Form, feeling, perception, formations, consciousness. Consciousness underlies all the other 4. For example, form, the body, is a conscious body. Feelings, also, you must be conscious to feel. Perception works on the stage of consciousness. Right? So sometimes it's form, feeling, perception, and the formations, they are called the house of consciousness. They work because there is consciousness. And I mentioned already earlier, in the case of the 5 mental hindrances, the key one is number 1. Okay? So in all these sense, there's always a key factor, right? So in the 5 mental hindrances, the first sensual desire is the key one. So if you train yourself to overcome that, the others become easier to overcome. In the case of the 5 aggregates, understand the nature of consciousness, or at least reflect on it, then it's easier to understand the other 4. Then we apply this in a Satipatthana way, to ourselves, to other people, and then to both. In other words, these 5 aggregates don't just work for us, it also works for other beings, other living beings as well. And then they're also impermanent. Notice they're arising, they're passing away. Otherwise, just note them for what they are. Consciousness is a name we use to describe something changing, impermanent in our being. Right? Then we go on to number 3. Any questions on the 5 things?
You said that it can be in any sequence.
Yes.
As and when it arises. Can that be generally said of the entire Satipatthana? Or not?
Oh yes. Even the 4 Satipatthanas. As I said, normally we will start with the body, and then we go on to the feelings and so on. That is at the start. But let's say you are doing something in your daily life, and then a feeling comes to you. So you watch feeling, right? So you don't have to follow the sequence, you straight go into whatever arises in you. So there are various applications of the Satipatthana. You can follow in sequence, or you can apply to whatever arises at that time. Okay? Alright, now section 3, the 6th sense basis. This is related to the 5 senses, of course. We are extending our understanding of our being. Let's look at this passage first. Section 40. Again, Bhikshus, a monk dwells observing dharmas, in the dharmas, with respect to the 6 internal and 6 external sense bases. And how do you do this? Here, Bhikshus, a monk understands the I and understands form. So, when you have the I, notice the word the I is singular, actually it's a collective term. It refers to the I faculty. So in Buddhism, we talk of the I as a faculty. We're not so much interested in the I as simply a mere organ. The medical people, of course, are interested in that, as well as a faculty. But in meditation, we talk of the functioning I. The functioning I functions with form. What does the I do? The I recognizes form. Form is what? Shapes, colors. Right? And he understands whatever fetter that arises dependent on both. So there's a note on fetter. Here, the 10 fetters. So again, the first one is sensual desire. You notice when there is the I, form, then we tend to like very pleasant forms. the sense is your consciousness, your perception or your what you call awareness of what's going on, and external is the object itself. For example, internal sense organ would be the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. We call 6 internal sense organs. Okay? External would be form, sound, smell, taste, touch, thoughts. So 6 internal, 6 external. Okay? These are technical terms, right? So the other sense is yourself, other people. Right? Okay. So next line, he understands arising of the unarisen factor. He understands the letting go of an unarisen factor. And he understands the non-arising of the factor that he has given at the word term. Now these are called the 4 right efforts. A little bit expanded if you like. So number 1, you notice whether you have this kind of factor or not. If there is, recognize it. The 10 factors are given to you, not 86. The first one is sensual desire. And then repulsion. Repulsion, ill will, the same actually. Then conceit, views, doubts, desire for existence, clinging to rituals and vows. Envy, avarice, ignorance, okay? This is according to Abhidhamma. Essentially, those things that hold you back to your old self, so to speak. So notice how they arise, how they pass away. Notice it's either watching rising and passing away. It's very common in meditation. And the same thing is applied to sounds. He understands the ear and understands sound. He understands whatever factor that arises dependent on both. Here both, meaning the ear and sounds. The ear, internal organ, sounds, external object. Okay? Sounds dependent on the ear, especially in meditation. See, in meditation, once you start sitting, your senses become very sensitive. Right? Even, for example, in our center, we're on the 11th floor, a very quiet place. But then it's windy there, so the wind blows against windows. So you hear a bit of rattling, slight rattling of the glass window. And some people get a little distracted by that, especially beginners, because they have not heard it before. Of course, if you are regular there, you get used to it, so you don't bother about it, right? So we just simply notice that the ears are more sensitive now. And it's good that the ears are sensitive, so we are better at hearing things, but then we've got to let go of those things sometimes. Just let go of them. Because it is the thought about those things that trouble us, not the thing themselves. So this is the factor. Okay? Then the next one, he understands the nose and understands smells. Right, again, right, you have pleasant smell, unpleasant smell. We are used to certain kinds of smell. Right? So again, we just note them as smell. Notice we tend to give names to smells, right? And then we say, I like this smell, I don't like this smell. Right? So in meditation, of course, in daily life, it's good to have a sense of nature of smell. For example, you smell smoke, something is burning, I better go and check. Of course, assuming in meditation everything is fine, you get all kinds of smell, and you're not cooking anything, so the smell must have come from somewhere else, you're not going to be bothered about it. You just observe, this is smell, and you're not going to evaluate it, you're not going to comment on it, you just say smell, let it go back to your meditation. Right? This is during meditation. But a good meditator also has a keen sense of smell. So in the waking life, so if it's cooking, this dish I'm cooking is just the right smell. Okay, here it's a little overcooked. Or smell something and say, I better check. Something is burning, right? So the experience become more useful in daily life. understands whatever fetter arises dependent on both. Right? Tongue, taste. Again, what experience arise. Right? During meditation retreats, we take very simple food. And you tend to get very hungry during meditation retreats because the food is simple and normally you have less meals than usual. And when whatever you eat and chew, you find it's very good. So you mindfully chew every morsel, right? And if a desire for nice food arises, you watch it for what it is. Let it go. Because you just need to eat so that you feel healthy, you have some warmth, you have some energy to practice. That's the purpose of eating, not to adorn ourselves, not to fatten ourselves, not to not to play with the food and so on. And then when this taste goes away, fine, it's permanent, we let it go. And then comes the body. He understands the body, he understands touches. Of course, you can also use the word feeling here. Different kinds of touches. Here, meaning it includes hot and cold, heat and cold. So here again, you notice temperature changing. Sometimes it is warm, sometimes it is cool, sometimes it is cold. And when you meditate, you can feel sometimes your body warming up. So just be aware of these temperature changes. Note that they are impermanent. In fact, when we meditate, the tendency is, while meditating, you feel warm. So even when it's cold outside, you feel good. And when you come out of meditation, you can feel the cold a bit more keenly. So this is where it's good to bring something warm to cover yourself with. So this is how you become more aware of the body. And then, of course, pain, right? You sit too long, you feel a bit numb, you feel a bit tired. Again, notice that kind of pain. Sometimes the pain is just temporary. In fact, all pains are temporary. So you just watch the pain rising, passing away, then the pain is gone. Or sometimes you just need to shift a little bit as you in your posture, and then you continue with your meditation. When you shift your body, take it as an act of compassion to your body, so to speak. Right? You say, okay, I'm just shifting my body so that it is not in pain. I can sit comfortably after that. So in other words, show loving kindness to your own self. Right? So that way you find, even as you shift, you're not distracted. It is an act of loving kindness, act of compassion. So everything flows very nicely, smoothly. And now comes the most tricky one. The most tricky of the sense bases, the mind. Notice they're called sense-based. They are the base from which this action springs, so to speak. So here, the mind. He understands the mind and understands dharmas, mind objects. The mind is flowing, moving all the time. The mind is attracted to mind objects. So sometimes thought may arise, right? They are from the past, or they are about the future, or about the present. So you watch them as they arise, as they pass away. And just let go, let go, let go of them. To let go means to accept them as they are. To accept them as they are. This meaning of letting go. Because you can't hold on to them. You cannot hold on to them. Because even if you try, this thought has become something else. It has become something else. And we try to imagine what it was before. So you get distracted. Right? So the best way is to let go. When you let go, you're letting go of the past. Then you're back in the present. So it's a series of letting go. It's a natural act. It's not like one act. It's a natural act. So if you talk about letting go, you talk about watching the present moment, in this sense they mean the same thing actually. And then comes the Satipatthana refrain again. So he dwells watching the dharmas and the dhammas internally. Here internally means yourself. And you notice the same things in other people, other beings. And then you kind of alternate it. And then you notice the arising, passing away. That's your repetition here. No? And you simply observe them for what they are, no more, no less. Right? That's the last reflection. Now we come to something a bit more complicated. Right? Before that, any questions on this?
Well, the 10 fetters applies to all of the 6 sense bases.
Yes. They can arise through, on account. They can arise on account of any of the 6 sense bases.
Right.
Yeah.
So some of them I can resolve, like sensual desire, repulsion, desire for existence, envy, avarice, and ignorance. But I'm not sure how to apply clinging to rituals and conceit and view and doubts.
Okay, this is Abhidhamma days. There is another one, you can read the Sayojana Sutta. There are a set of 10 according to stages of sainthood. So some of them, only the Arhat will finally overcome all of them, all the 10, especially conceit. Conceit is a very tricky one where you measure people. So this is only the Arhat is capable of overcoming that kind of idea. As lay people like us, lay practitioners, we need to focus on breaking the first 3 fetters. The first 3 fetters, here this is a Abhidhamma list, so the Sutta list, the 3 fetters will be sensual desire number 1, and then actually it is more self-view, self-identity view. Self-identity view, doubt, and then clinging to rituals. Okay? Self-identity view, in other words, you imagine this body is something permanent, something that remains the same over time. So you've got to let go of that kind of wrong idea. And number 2, you have to overcome doubt. In other words, you understand, you accept that self-effort works. You can be at peace to your own efforts. Okay? You don't have doubt about your self-effort. And number 3, overcoming rituals and vows, meaning here, we'll avoid superstition. Superstitious means looking for answers outside of ourselves. Right? Superstitious means to believe things happen to us because of luck, for example. This is superstition. So in simple terms, these are the 3. I've written an essay on this, on the 3 fetters. If you like to read them, just let me know. I send it to you. Okay? So you overcome the 3 fetters, then you are a stripper, again stripper. Okay, now we go to something about meditation. So during this level of practice, you might notice any of these 7 awakening factors. What are the 7 awakening factors? Page 138. You have this awakening factor of mindfulness. Right? So it's not just mindfulness, it is mindfulness as an awakening factor. So this is like something like a high level kind of thing. And then you have Dharma discernment. Number 2. Dharma discernment is the key awakening factor here. Of all this, Dharma discernment is the key. I'll come back to this in a moment. And then there is effort, number 3. Number 4 is zest or joyful interest. And then 5, tranquility. 6, samadhi, or mental focus, mental stillness. 7, equanimity. These are the 7. Now, let's look at them in a little bit more detail. Look at brackets 1 again, page 138. When there is the awakening factor of mindfulness in him, he understands there is the awakening factor of mindfulness in me. So this is acknowledging it, right? When there is no awakening factor of mindfulness in him, he understands there is none. And then we understand the arising, and then we understand the perfecting how to make it complete, how to fulfill it. Mindfulness, that's the first one. What do you do? What's the first thing in meditation? Mindfulness, right? Mindfulness of the body. So this is another way of looking at meditation. We can say we begin with the body. We can also say we begin with mindfulness of the body, right? So here we're talking about the mental activity, mindfulness. What is this mindfulness? This mindfulness is your mind is directed towards the body in this case. The mind is directed towards the object. Directed. Some effort is needed here. So, once your mind is focused on the object, you don't need to make any more effort. You have fulfilled that mindfulness. So the mindfulness becomes very easy. You don't have to do it, you don't have to make the effort anymore. So it's fulfilled. Then number two, the awakening factor of Dharma discernment. Again, once it arises, you notice it. If it's not present, you also know it. And then you notice how it arises, and then you bring it to perfection. Dharma discernment, that means you discern, you examine carefully. Okay, what's going on in the mind now? Okay, this is the mind. Right? So this is where the mind watches what's going on. Note it as it is. Whatever arises, note it. Okay, desire. The desire is gone. Okay, this is hatred, ill will. It's arising. Now it is gone. Okay, this is joy. It's arising. Now it is gone. Just note it as it is and observe it. So you discern it. You discern it, you notice rising and falling also. So, watching whatever is going on as you meditate. This is the key practice. And noting it wisely. Noting it wisely means what? Noticing the arising and passing away of it. And then, when you go on doing this, you are putting in effort, right? That's number 3, effort. Effort means what? You're directing your energy, mental energy, to this practice. So in a sense, if you like, you're directing your energy as you meditate. You begin by directing all your physical energy towards meditation, body meditation. And then you direct all your emotional energy, feeling, towards meditation. And then you direct all your mental energies. Third, Satipatthana. And then the last one is spiritual energy, spiritual awareness. That's another way of looking at it. So effort, directing all this, what you are, into this practice. And when we do this, it becomes joyful. That's number 4. When there is the awakening of zest, he understands there is this zest, piti, joyful interest. Joyful interest. When you feel so joyful, you just keep on doing it. You don't need any more effort. You're totally focused on what's going on here. And you know there is this zest inside you. And then when it goes away, you know it goes away. Right? And when you have this zest, the next thing is your body and mind becomes peaceful. Body and mind becomes comfortable. You don't feel pain anymore. You don't feel the body anymore, so to speak. Number 5, the awakening factor of tranquility. In other words, the joy is more peaceful now, more settled. And when the body and mind are more settled, tranquility, passaddhi, Pali. Number 6, you have samadhi, total mental stillness, mental focus. There's some argument now how to translate samadhi. It becomes quite fashionable sometimes. We know Dharma so much, then we start deciding how can we focus this word, make it more clear. So The easiest is to settle for the word samadhi, if you like. You can translate as stillness, if you like, translate as mental focus, you can translate as concentration. The important thing is, you must know what it refers to. The mind is totally still, steady, happy, fixed, constant. And then finally the mind reaches equanimity, calm and still, like a flat surface, very peaceful. You might say this is dhyana. The mind is fixed, focused, joyful. You have reached the height of meditation. So, again, you can notice this in yourself, in other people. It's a bit more difficult to notice in other people, but if you're a deep meditator, it's possible. The important thing is to notice it within yourself. So once you feel very peaceful, you attain jhana, enjoy it as much as you can. Learn to notice the peacefulness. Even if you do not attain jhana, you notice there is some level of peace in meditation. There's some level of peace in some of the actions that we do in our practice of the Dharma. Right? So, observe the peace, acknowledge it, be complete with it. Right? For example, we can turn ourselves here as we sit listening to this teaching. The world is spinning around us. Right? There's noise outside. But in the days to come, when you look back, like for me, I only remember giving you a peaceful talk. I don't remember the sounds going around me. So we can filter that out, so to speak. Right? Let's filter that out. So this is where we choose the good, wonderful feelings and states of mind arising us, and stay with that, build that up, so that our minds become more and more peaceful. Then you come out of your meditation, your mind is very clear. So meditating is like, you see, the first meditation of the body is like you have this lens of a telescope. And then after that feeling, it's like you're polishing it. And then you're mounting it onto a telescope. And then finally, the last one, you look through it. Wow, you see so clear. The images are so clear. And then you are finished looking through the telescope. That means you finish the jhana ends, you come out of it. Now what do you do with that wisdom? That's the Four Noble Truths. You see the sequence there? Very nice. Very natural. Okay? So let's look at the Four Noble Truths. Again, bhikshus among dwells observing dharmas in respect to the Four Noble Truths. And how do we do this? Here bhikshus among understands or knows as it really is. This is suffering. This is dukkha. Now it's very important when you study Buddhism, don't bring in the cultural baggage of words. When in Buddhism we say this is suffering, don't think about a Western concept, Chinese concept. What's the meaning of suffering? Dukkha. What does dukkha mean? Examine all this, right? So, dukkha means things never go the way we want it. Rarely goes the way we want it. Even if it does, then we find something wrong with it later on. But there's something missing at the moment. Right? That's dukkha. He understands as it really is, this is the arising of dukkha. Why do we have this kind of thought? Right? The arising of dukkha. He understands this is the ending of dukkha. Whatever arises must also pass away. And he understands this is the way leading to the ending of suffering. This is how you act on it. Now, in some rare instances, you find number 3 and 4 reversed. The Four Noble Truths, there is a very interesting set, you know. You have, this is suffering, this is the arising of suffering. This is the way leading to the ending of suffering. And then the last one, this is the ending of suffering. We do have that sequence. Very rare, but there is. So, you apply this to yourself and to others as well. What does this mean? So you come out of your wonderful meditation, the focus of jhana, and your mind is so clear, then you tell yourself, oh, now I begin to understand what's the meaning of suffering. You've been listening to Dharma talks for years, and all you think is suffering, suffering, suffering. And now you say, oh, I understand what it really is, right? I have experienced such this beautiful joy and peace. Even the joy of listening to the most beautiful music I have liked before, watching my favorite TV show, is not so wonderful, right? So actually that is suffering, So you begin to see the fineness of human experience. So that is the first thing. You begin to really differentiate the nature of suffering. And then you begin to understand the arising. Right? When we notice change, we want something not to change. That is suffering. So there is this expectation, this desire, craving as a cause of suffering. And how to end it? To let go of the craving. When the craving is gone, that's called nirvana. And then we act on it, the Eightfold Path. Right? So that's how we apply the Four Noble Truths as part of our flow of meditation practice. So the teaching ends here for the moment, the Satipatthana practice. So the Buddha concludes his teaching, and then he tells the monks, section 46, whoever bhikshus were to cultivate these four focuses of mindfulness in this way, step by step, as taught by the Buddha, he may expect one of two fruits. Either arahathood in this life, that means he overcomes all the 10 fetters, all the negative, all the defilements, he becomes an arahat, free from suffering. Or if there's a bit of trace left, still a bit of conceit left, for example, he becomes a non-returner. A non-returner has overcome craving also. Right? That means we never return to the world, the kind of suffering world we are living in. Then comes a very interesting sequence. The Buddha says, you can get this in 7 years. 7 years, it's 7 is one of those magical numbers. I think it's the first prime number, isn't it? Or second prime number. Right? It's a kind of number you cannot divide anymore. I've tried to ask a number of teachers, why 7? No one can answer this. One answer is, it means a long time. Anyway, 7 years is not really that long. Then the Buddha says, oh, don't say 7 years, 6 years also can. And then everything is repeated. You get one of two results. 5 years, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1 year. And after that, the Buddha said, oh, forget about 1 year. Even 7 months, you'll be able to get the results. Oh, okay, don't talk about 7 months. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 month. Right? And everything's repeated. And then the Buddha says, let alone 1 month. Even in half a month, in a fortnight, you can get the result. You go for a 2 weeks retreat. Oh, don't talk about 2 weeks. Even 7 days, you will get the result. The Buddha didn't say 1 day, okay? Say within 7 days. So maybe that's why we have 7-day retreats, and also 7 days in a week, I suppose, is a magical number. And why does the Buddha make such repetition? It takes 2 whole pages, Here, the idea, because it's an oral tradition, you have to listen to this teaching, So we are being reminded again and again. It doesn't matter, it takes long or short. The results will come when you practice. I mean, it would be quite different if the Buddha says, you can get this result within 7 years or 7 days. And that's it, People tend to forget it. But here, there's emphasis. As long as you persist, the results will come. You will get a sense of peace and understanding. And you feel good about it. And then, finally, come to the closing, 47. Now the Buddha goes back to the start, right at the beginning. It was said, right? It was said at the start of the sutta. Bhikshus, this is the Ekayana path, the path for one, where only one goes by oneself to the one-pointedness of mind. For the purification of beings, for the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation, for the disappearance of physical and mental pain, for gaining the right path, of course, yes, the Eightfold Path, for the realization of nirvana, that is to say, the four focuses of mindfulness. It is for this reason it was said, right? So the Buddha said, well, I started off by telling one of the four Satipatthana, now I finish saying it. For this reason, I've given you this teaching. And the Buddha's teaching ends there. This is what the Blessed One said. The monks joyfully approve of the Blessed One's word. And the Sutta ends here. Okay, yes. Yeah. Externally, you only observe it when it distracts you. Okay, for example, you're meditating, and then somebody beside you is snoring, Alright? You have no choice. You're very peaceful when this guy is snoring, you can hear very loud. So instead of getting upset, okay, outside noise. So instead of getting angry or upset, you say, okay, this is noise or snoring. Okay? Right? You acknowledge it for what it is. Don't evaluate it. Right? When you start commenting, you say, why is this person snoring? Don't you know it's a retreat, and I'm meditating, then you are evaluating. You use I, me, mine, then you will get distracted. Because whenever you say I, you get distraction. Right? Or you can just say, this is just noise. These people, they have different kinds of beliefs, different kind of approach. Okay, that's just their kind of understanding. So it just happens that we are in the same place. Only we live in a nicer, quiet place, very nice. But we can talk about that outside of meditation, but not inside meditation. Inside meditation, we don't evaluate. We just say what it is. Objectively. Objective. That means there's an object. Subjectively means you bring it inside your head and then you have problems. You don't subjectify it. Take it as an object. Leave it outside. Don't bring it in. Okay? Any other question? This is where it's more like you compare. For example, let's say anger. There was a feeling of anger before, and I said, oh, now there's no anger. Very good. This absence of it. This is, they're connected. It's not like you must do it all the time. They are related. Doesn't arise at that time. So I think you notice it's a sequence. It arises and then you deal with it. It is no more there. So you know, okay, now you're confident. You say, okay, I'm quite confident this negative emotion will not arise, at least for this duration, like that. And then you let go of that. You go on to your meditation. You continue with your meditation. So these are instructions how to deal with the distraction as it arises. Noting it, the sequence, step by step. Being aware that it is completely gone. It's just like we are sick, we see a doctor says, okay, first identify the problem, then tell you the cause, then give you the medicine. And then you go home, you take the medicine, you come back and you see the doctor and tells you, okay, no more sickness has arisen. Right? So you know it and you feel good about it. So this is the healing process. Yes? Well, when you go to a very quiet place, you say, oh, this is really beautiful. I don't hear any sound here. So that's one example. There is no arising of distracting sounds. Right? So in the case of other kinds of sound, it's more like how we react to it. So the reaction is gone. We let go of the reaction. So you know you have done that. You're aware of the act. In other words, it's conclusion of the act. The act is complete. Yes. It's not the sound. You can't do anything about the sound. Yeah. What you do is you deal with the reaction, your reaction towards that sound. That's what the Buddha says, the world out there is just the way it is. It is neither pleasant nor unpleasant. It's how you look at it. And that's what you deal with. All the time you're dealing with the reaction of others. Exactly. That's the meaning of self-effort. That's the meaning of depending on yourself. Because that's all we can do. We're dealing with the mind. And self here means mind. The mind. Okay. Sorry? So we observe it, and whatever we notice, we regard them as impermanent. They come, they go. They come, they go. That's the key word, impermanence. Whatever we notice, impermanent. Right? So once you notice that way, then you find things will go smoothly. Of course, that is only the basic theory, you see. Depends on what kind of person you are. Let's say if you're a counselor, you use this kind of understanding. You say, okay, I can hear this person, the person sounds unhappy, so obviously there is something the person didn't say, and then you go on trying to help this person. So depending on your training, you can use all this as sources of wisdom. Your meditation begins to give you more skill in dealing with problems and issues. What we're learning here is a very basic understanding of what goes on around us. And it's left to you to apply all this depending on your interest and your training. Okay? Any other question?
What's the difference between Arahant and Nirvana?
The Arahant is completely free from rebirth. All the factors are gone. He is not going to be reborn. Whereas a Srimana will be reborn one more time, in the sense of he's reborn in the pure abodes, and he will never be reborn anymore after that. He will pass away in a very peaceful, joyful state. In other words, just he has to finish off one more life, or maybe a few more, but they are very happy ones in that realm, not in the suffering world. Non-return, non-return. The non-return means he doesn't return from the realm of the non-returners, which is called Sutta pure abodes, where he finished up his karma there. So he's reborn in this very refined state of being. So a non-returner does not return to the world, to earth, to a suffering state, because he has no more desire for rebirth.
So the Arahant is really basically off the wheel of samsara.
Correct.
Whereas the non-returner is
on the way. Just one more step.
one more.
One more step. One more step. It is very similar to the Arahant. It's just one more step. It's just a bit more. More or less. More or less. No, not formless. It is on the highest form realm. The highest form.
That is still on the wheel. That is still part of the wheel of samsara.
Basically, yes, but the wheel is going to stop spinning very soon for them. That's why it's called non-return.
They live in their pure abodes.
Pure abodes, yeah. Sutta
Stream enterer still come to
Stream enterer, yeah. Stream enterer still 7 more lives at the most. Stream enterer also going to finish their karma, but still a bit more karma to go, but they will never get themselves into serious trouble. Okay? 7 more lives at the most. Yeah, but remember, the 7 is quite relative, because if they are reborn in the heavenly worlds, it's a really long time, many world cycles. Right? But then they are happy people, they will never never consciously break the 5 precepts. If they do, they will confess it, they will say that. So they're basically good people in other words. So for lay people like us, our training should be to attain the first two stages at least, streamlining or once return. Because this one is very easy, we reflect on impermanence. And if you go further to do deep meditation, jhana meditation, where you overcome sensual desire, then your goal will be non-return or arahathood. Okay? So the Buddha, of course, gives us a real high standard. Then in other suttas talks about streamlining also. Right? You know the question? Yeah? You're aware of this breath coming in, going out, and you note it. In other words, where you direct your mind. So observe means you direct your mind. Okay? I think the Pali word here is anupassati. That is to see and focus there. Right? You don't let your mind go elsewhere. That's the meaning. Observe.
There is two parts of it. One is the not thinking and doing what's thoughts, and there's another one doing the observing.
Yes.
When we are talking about it, yes, it appears to be two aspects going on. But when you are meditating, you don't start thinking about what I told you. See, you just do it. It's just like when you're driving, you don't need to remember many instructions. It becomes natural. At first, if you're a beginner, you got to think, what did the instructor say? But then, as you become better, you find you don't need that second thinking anymore, right? So that second thinking is only found in beginners, and that becomes distraction after a while. So you got to let go of the second thinking, the second mind, whatever you call it. So you become more natural in your watching the breath. Okay? So it's practice. It's okay at first. It appears to be artificial because there is this other mind. And it slowly becomes one mind like that. So that's why we slowly focus. It's just like you look through a telescope or binoculars which is not well focused, you see two images. The reality there's only one because it's not focused. Once you're focused, you only see one image. It's the same thing with the mind. Over the question?
Yeah.
Yes?
Just now when you talk about Buddha, you say bringing American ideas, Chinese ideas.
When we talk about suffering, in fact, many of the terms we study in Buddhism, we tend to interpret it according to what we have learned before. For example, we say suffering is negative, so we immediately say that Buddhist teachings are negative. But then we have not even studied in detail how the Buddha defines suffering. So what I'm saying is, this applies to all kinds of learnings, especially with the literature. The lecturer will tell you, okay, here you are, you have this story about this person. Now you got to look at the context of this emotion. You must not bring some other modern emotion into this. For example, this story maybe is about 500 years ago. So if you try to see the story in our times, it is something else, you see. You've got to understand the context, what happened. So when you study the word dukkha, for example, you've got to ask yourself, what did the Buddha mean by this? What's he talking about? So in other words, we try not to color what the Buddha said, or as we say in English, we try not to read too much into it. We take it as it is, as the way the Buddha defines it. Once we understand what the Buddha is trying to say, then, if you like, in the top you can compare, you can say, okay, this is the way the Buddha says it, this is the meaning of dukkha, the modern meaning, suffering is this, and in the modern meaning, we are influenced by the West, Christian idea, and then they have this God idea, so it's a different context. So, to understand the context is very helpful, because if we try to think or to understand dukkha in the Christian context, you will never get the Buddhist results. So this is one understanding we need to have.
I can understand that some forms of suffering may not be common to different parts of the world. But I think most forms of suffering are common.
Oh yes, exactly. Yeah, so maybe, for example, the first time, bodily suffering is really also, right? But again, we know that's not what the Buddha is addressing. Then the second kind is a mental suffering, suffering of loss and so on. Again, we can deal with that through counseling and so on. And again, that's not what exactly the Buddha is dealing with. The Buddha is going to a deeper one, the third kind of suffering, which we might, for simplicity, say spiritual suffering. That things seem alright, and yet there is something missing in life. In other words, what if you got all the things you want in life? Will you really be happy? You find that you got everything in life, you start telling myself, how come I'm still not happy? You know? So that's what the Buddha is asking. Why do you feel that way? And not all the other systems address this, or not address it the same way as the Buddha has done. So this last part is what you in other words, you got to keep an open mind here. Only when you keep an open mind, you begin to understand what the Buddha is saying. Okay?
Sometimes the external forces are more powerful than your internal. How you overcome?
Well, one way is to get out of the external environment, because if you find difficulty in dealing with it, obviously it's not helpful to go on fighting it, right? So you have a choice of getting away from the environment, you should do so. That's why, for example, in the Mangala Sutta, the Buddha talks about Patirupa Desa Vaso, living in a suitable place. So you live in a faraway place, you have no Dhamma study. So it's good to find a place to live where you can cover Dhamma study, meditation, for example. So if you can get out of the station, you should. Otherwise, if you are in a position where you can help, yes. That's why we need training, we need wisdom, to help in those difficult external environments. So two ways. Either we get away from it, or we train ourselves to help that kind of situation. Okay?
Piya,
Yes?
who is it that is watching when we are observing our stream of consciousness in meditation? I think similar.
Yeah, okay. Now this is where the Sutta will say, wrong way of questioning. There are presumptions. There are presumptions in the question, because we say who. But the moment you say,
I mean who or what?
I know, yeah. Normally we will say who or even what, That means we are assuming there is an object, an entity that's watching. We already assume, see?
Yes.
So this is where,
Yes.
in the teachings, there's a teaching, the last, a very difficult one, which is called non-self. Right? This is the most tricky one, very difficult to notice. Because in daily life, we need to use such words. Who, what, why, how, right? But once you come to meditation, we don't ask who is watching, we don't ask what is watching, we ask what is happening now. That is a safer question. What is happening now? Another way of answering this is, the Buddha Gosha answers it this way. He says, there is only the watching. There's no watcher involved. I'm rephrasing his statement. There is only the action going on, but no actor behind it.
So there is only the thought, there's no thinker.
That's another way of putting it. You see?
So
Because
this is a removal, this is all these statements you have just made underscores the non-identity, the non-entity.
Yes.
So everything is just
action, movement, change.
Well, I just want to say everything is a consciousness, but then if a conscious, would it be right therefore to say that everything is a stream of ever-changing consciousness?
Yes.
That has no self, no identity,
Yeah.
no being?
Yes.
So, is this what is watching? Observing?
Yes. This flow of events. In Buddhism, we are a process.
Yes.
Not an entity.
Yes, we're just a
Yeah,
series of
entity is
concepts.
just a concept, an idea.
Yes.
So we're trying to stop something and say, okay, that's it, but that's not really it. We just, it helps us to, get an idea and talk about it, that's all. So when we try to talk about entities, our aim is actually, it's just a skillful means. It's like a diagram, and the diagram is not the real thing anyway.
But this again brings me back to the same question. When we're watching the processes that's happening internally and externally, observing, right? Back to the question.
Yeah, sure.
Who's observing the What is observing the processes?
That is, of course, you can say the simple answer, you are watching it, and then you ask yourself, okay, I'm watching it, what is the I? The I is made up of form, feeling, perception, formation, consciousness. But where is the I? It is in none of this. So the I is just a way of talking. Just a way of talking, right? It's just like you say, I'm very happy, I feel very happy. But where's the happiness? You know? It's a meaningless question. But once you start asking like that, the happiness is gone. So this is where we just, like I said, when we communicate with others, we need to talk of I, me, mine. But the reality is, there's nothing beyond that. Right? So there's just this process of changing. And then that's as far as language goes. More than that, it's going to be quite tricky. Okay, so I think it's just nice to close on that note. And here then, okay. Let us spend 5 moments reflecting on this wonderful occasion. We've come to the end of our study of the Satipatthana Sutta. This gives us a bit more understanding on the nature of mind training, one of the most important discussions of the Buddha. To be able to reflect on these teachings helps us to understand the nature of our practice and also to put our practice into more, in a better way so that we attain deeper peace, greater clarity of mind and higher wisdom. Reflecting in this way is very good mental karma. But about this karma, may we be at peace with ourselves, may we gain wisdom in this life itself. Through our faith in 3 jewels and various good deeds we have done, may we attain spiritual awakening, namely stream within, in this life itself. In this moment of peace, to let us radiate our loving kindness to everyone here, to all the beings here, and to all our loved ones, and to all other beings, especially those not touched by the Dharma, that they may realize the true teaching and be happy. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu.